Hey everybody, as you can tell from the title, this is an official gray hair update. I have been dye-free for 7 months now and it is the best feeling. But I'm going into detail about my gray hair transition so far on this video because I haven't really done like a full video just about sort of the process and, where I am with it and how it feels and what other adjustments I might have made. So what I want to do is I want to talk about my gray hair journey to this point. I want to talk about the mental, I have notes here, that's what I keep looking at. I want to talk about the mental and emotional aspects of transitioning to gray hair when you are in your 40s or 30s or even your 50s. Like, I think all of us have this preconceived notion that you have to be like 85 to have gray hair and it's okay or it's expected. But I think that tide is changing. I think things are changing and I'm thrilled to see it. So anyway, I'm gonna talk about the mental and emotional aspects of it. The things I changed when I started growing out my gray, and then my tips if you want to transition and grow out your gray. So anyway, yeah, so I'm 7 months dye-free, and I'm finally getting to a point, I hope you guys can see that, where you can, it's about grown out to here now. I've talked about this before. I have right here at my right temple, it's really, really white. And then I have another smaller white streak here at my left temple. And then the rest is just salt and pepper. So like when I pull my hair back, it's like full Cruella de Vil. Anyway, I have that white streak and this one white streak here, right? So the rest is salt and pepper. I think I'm about 60% gray. Yeah, it's not that gray underneath. It's mostly just here at the right temple and around the face. I have a little bit more going here, right in front of my ear on the right, not so much over here on the left. I think it's all that right brain creative thinking made me go gray on one side. But anyway, so I mentioned this before, but for those of you who might be new to my channel or you're looking for information on this subject and this is the first time you're seeing my video talking about my gray transition, I'll give you a little bit of information. I'm going to be 45 this month. I'm 7 months into transition. I have been dyeing my hair since I was around 28 or 29, so it's been a long time. I used to be able to go like 6 weeks before I had to touch up because it wasn't a lot of gray. I need to catch my breath. I have a fear of public speaking, even when I'm alone in my house, just so y'all know. I'm such a chicken. Okay, so take a deep breath. Just calm down. All right, let's try this again. So I used to be able to go several weeks before I needed to touch up because there wasn't that much gray. And as I've gotten older and the years have passed, the gray has become more prevalent, especially in the front and especially in my dark hair since I'm not blonde. So it was like absolutely had to have my roots done every 4 weeks. And I was already like at the 2-week mark, I would be in there with my mascara and my eyeshadow trying to cover up the little, the little sparkles of white at my hairline, at my scalp, and I just got so sick of it. I was just actually 2 years ago, I started to try to do this, and I shouldn't say almost 2 years. Yeah, like almost 2 years. I don't remember. Anyway, there was 1 year earlier in the year where I decided to, I think it was 2 years ago, I thought I was going to grow out my gray, and then I saw a friend of mine, I mentioned this before, and I was like, what do you think? And I was like 1 month in, she's like, no, you can't do that, you can't. And I was like, okay, forget it, I'm not gonna do it, that's silly, I'm gonna look old. I was like, okay, you're right. So I dyed it like the next day. And the irony of all this is that my mom does hair. So as far as like saving money on doing my hair, like having my hair colored, that was never an issue because I've never had to pay for it like my whole life, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, so then I think the very next year, yeah, which was last year. So yeah, it's been 2 years. Almost 2 years. God, like I suck at math. I can like keep track. The point is, I tried to grow my gray out 2 different times, and I caved and didn't do it. Like the second time I actually said I was gonna do it in a video, and you guys would have seen that a few videos back if you follow me. And I said I was gonna rock it and all this, and then I caved. Well, not long after that, November of last year, I was like, I am done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure out how to own it, and I'm going to go on, because I can't take this dyeing and this, you know, subterfuge and camouflage and all this crap I was trying to do to cover up my silver hair. So mentally, I had to really get on board with it, and you know, I had maybe a couple comments, but really no one was saying like, oh my god, don't do that, that's horrible, you look like crap. No one was saying anything like that. It was really my own mental hang-ups, and I really had to come to terms with myself with white hair, and begin to see myself in a different light and accept that. So yeah, it's challenging to watch your hair grow out gray and not feel and wonder about your own mortality, which is natural. Wonder if people think you look old. Wonder if people think you look not sexually viable anymore, not pretty, not sexy, not young. All these things, they all, like, so much of that comes into play when you start growing your gray out as a woman. So yeah, there are a lot of emotional and physical aspects to growing out your gray that you really don't anticipate from a hair color, you know. And I was really worried about looking older than my husband, and things like that. And I think that part was what really made me cave the second time. I was like, I don't want to look older than my husband. We're almost the same age. He's only 6 months younger than me. So we're like the same generation. And I just didn't want people to be like, oh, you're a good looking guy. Who's that old lady with you? You know, anyway, so I had to come to terms with the fact that that's probably not going to happen. I'm not going to look like 20 years older than my husband. And I'll tell you why, because that takes me really to the second point I wanted to cover, which was things that I had to change other than just letting my hair grow out and seeing it a lighter color, you know, a color that's traditionally associated with aging, even though so many women have gray hair very early in life. It's not just an age thing or a stress thing. It's just a genetic thing. It's just the hair color. Like, it's a hair color like blonde or red or brown, you know, like everyone else has. But we have come to think that it's only for old people, because that's what it always was in the past. And it's kind of astonishing now that I look around and I see how many older women, and when I say older women, I mean much older than me. You know, like, we're talking, if I'm nearly 45, I'm talking about women who are 65 or 70 who obviously dye their hair, and some of them like still are clinging to the hair of their youth that's this color, and it looks terrible. I'm sorry, it looks terrible. It looks fake. It looks dead. There's no shine to it. Because it's not the right thing. Like, it's okay if you do like a, what's her name? Jacqueline Smith, one of the original Charlie's Angels. And she was always a brunette, but now she's like a highlighted, lighter brunette with like highlights, and she looks amazing. She looks incredible for her age. So if you're gonna not be gray, at least go lighter, because you have to do that when you're older. It's too harsh to have really dark hair. Anyway, so back to what I was saying, other things I had to change as well. All right, so when the gray started coming in, and I started having this sort of mental hang up about being perceived as older than I am, because I'm a very young at heart person. I take care of myself, I eat well, I train all the time. You know, I try and keep a youthful body. I feel like I'm hip, I feel like I know what's going on. And so I was really hyper aware of like how my clothing could shape one perception or another with the gray hair. So I have found myself dressing younger in a way. Yeah, I want to dress a little more rock and roll, a little more yeah, like rock and roll, like skinny jeans and stuff like that. I don't mean anything inappropriate. All of my jeans, like I don't do low waist jeans anymore. I don't know who does really because they're so uncomfortable. I'm so glad that phase is over. Everything is like a mid rise. Um, I'm perfectly covered. I don't really do like holy jeans or anything like that. Ripped jeans, destroyed denim. I don't do that thing. I don't do that look. It's not really, I just don't really like the way it looks on me. And I feel like it's a little too try hard at my age to have like ripped jeans and stuff. I think if I'm going to do the rock t-shirt and, a choker and a leather jacket, fine, but keep the jeans tidy. Wear skinnies, but keep them tidy and don't let them be like skin tight, just, form fitting. So I've found with my clothing a need to be a little more edgy so as not to look frumpy. And on that subject, like I am almost, and I didn't have, in all fairness, in all honesty, I didn't have a lot of patterns going on in my closet prior to my gray transition. I've never worn a lot of them, but I have had some. I've had some, and also there were certain colors I would gravitate more when my hair was all dark, meaning like I love colors in like the rust family and the orange family and very warm earth tones like that. I've never been a big red person, but I have noticed now with my hair in transition, especially now that it's kind of is half this sort of like dyed brown auburny color and in a much cooler tone at the root with my salt and pepper and the white that's coming through. So I find that colors I used to wear, like those rusts and oranges, like I just don't feel like it's the right vibe with this hair. I feel like the right colors are like black, white, slate blue, any shade of gray. Anything in the more cool tones or like purples or pinks look great, but the oranges, the yellows, no. They don't work with me anymore, and it's a shame because I have some pieces in the color family that I love, and I have some dresses that I love that were patterned, and I feel like they're just not working for me anymore. I have them all, but I'm going to keep them and probably give them to my niece down the track. Anyway, so I have had to change that aspect of my wardrobe. More solids, more cool tones, less patterns, a little edgier. So yeah, that's where I am with that. As far as my makeup, I haven't really changed much. Because of last year I was doing my Invisalign on my teeth, I had already sort of started, because I had my Invisalign braces and I had like the buttons on my teeth to hold them in. I had already stopped wearing really bright lipstick because it would get on the plastic braces really easily. And so I stopped wearing bright colors so as not to have lipstick on my Invisalign braces all the time. That was really obvious. So I started wearing nudes, and I kind of have gotten out of the habit of wearing bright colors. I mean, here and there I'll put on like a bright fuchsia or like a deep, beautiful plum color or something. But overall, I find that aside from that, my makeup is pretty much the same. Like I don't feel like I need any more. In fact, I feel in a way that I need less. I feel like too much makeup, it competes too much with my hair. I feel garish. I don't know, I feel like the best thing for me with my gray hair is to have as much of my natural glow and beauty shine through and not have too much color on my face. And I think that's the primary theme with going gray for me is my hair feels so busy, like that painting, like that art behind me, it feels so busy that to put more color and more pattern and more of that on top of it is just like way too much for me visually, way too much. And that's why I've pared down to monochromatic, a very narrow color scheme of more cool tones and, less makeup and that kind of stuff. Okay, so now, if you want to transition to gray, these are my tips for you. Obviously, the first thing is, are you mentally ready? And is your closest loved one or partner that you go to for everything in the world on your side? Because if that person is not a fan, this is going to be very difficult. Thankfully, my husband's been on board, and I've said in other videos in the past, he had cracked some jokes which sort of made my strength and confidence about it waver, and then he came clean. He's like, no, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Okay, just leave your hair, let it grow. I'm fine. I don't care what color your hair is. So yeah, if your husband or your partner or whomever you rely on and for your support, if you need another opinion, if they're on board with it with you and you've got someone in your corner, it makes it easier. Doesn't mean you can't do it if everyone's against you, which is not likely. But it's always nice to have someone there in your corner going, yeah, you can do it. It looks great. Don't worry about it. Just, do what you want to do. So, all right. The next thing is when you decide to transition, depending on what color your hair is, what texture your hair is, what length of your hair is, there are a lot of things to consider. One is to bleach or not to bleach, okay? And to cut or not to cut. Some people go to a point, and I mean even to this point, and they cut all their hair off that short, or they pixie it, or they bob it, or I can't do that. My hair is almost down to my waist, and it is a very important part of my identity. So there is no way in hell I would cut my hair to facilitate having all gray. No way, no how. So that brings me back to the next part, which is to bleach or not to bleach. If you're a blonde, maybe not be that big of a deal to transition because the gray blends a little bit better with a blonde. For me, with my salt and pepper, it's not too bad. I don't have like the acid skunk stripe. Have you seen people that have like a big white chunk because their hair is literally white and they were dyeing their hair dark? Those people have a much harder time transitioning, and if they decide to grow out as I am naturally, it's pretty dang obvious, and it's really bad looking hair for a long time. Mine looked pretty bad at first. I think it doesn't look so bad now because I'm fortunate, like I said, it's salt and pepper, so you don't see this hard line of demarcation that's really obvious. So that's something you have to think about. Like, where are you? What are you, super white? Are you salt and pepper? Are you already blonde or are you not? One thing I will say is if you, for example, I have mentioned in the past that I had considered bringing out streaks where my gray was really white, like right here, and having that part bleached out to sort of match. When you do that, remember, unless you have super, super thick, very strong hair, the amount of bleach that is required to lift dark dyed brown or black hair to pale ashy blonde will destroy your hair. And not only that, the gift that keeps on giving, bleach, even after you've lifted it and toned it and it's now this perfect ashy or even silvery gray color, it has to be toned regularly, and it is a nightmare. It's a lot of work, and it will tear your hair up. I mean, I've mentioned in the past, I know from having done highlights, a few rounds of them a few years ago, and I'm still growing out the damage on the bottom part of my hair. If you have baby fine hair, you might not want to do it because it could fry your hair. And then you still have yellowy blonde ends and white cool roots. So bleaching, if you're going to do it, tread carefully, do your homework, find a colorist that uses Olaplex and that will lift you over time. It's not something, if your hair is this dark and it's dyed, you can't go silver, white, blonde in one sitting. It's going to take 2, 3, 4 sessions, and anyone that tells you they can do it in one, you should run because your hair is going to fall off after they're done with it. Break off, I should say. All right, so that's the first thing. Decide if you're bleaching or not, what you're going to do to ease the transition. 2, get yourself a Pinterest board. I tell you what, there is no way I would have arrived where I am today with this decision had I not been heavily influenced by pictures on Pinterest and ladies that I follow on Instagram who are, gray-haired goddesses, and if you are ready to make this transition, fill your brain and your eyes with images of beautiful gray-haired women or women in transition with their gray, because it really, really helps, because you will find someone who has hair similar to yours or has gray that's coming in similar to yours. And if she is showing her grow out, or you see a similarity somewhere in there, that will help you in your transition significantly. You'll be able to sort of visualize it, have a goal, and feel like you're not alone. You know, we're all in Pinterest and Instagram are visual applications, and they are there for a reason. They're to inspire, they're to catch your eye and, you know, give you pause, make you think about something, make you buy something, whatever. So use them to your advantage. Make yourself a Pinterest board, pin pictures, follow people on Instagram who are rocking the gray, and yeah, it helps a lot in keeping you on course and keeping you strong, because believe me, there will be days that you want to just go, oh, screw it, I want to go back to the bottle, or you want to hit the other bottle, which is booze. But it will keep you strong, and you will need it, because you won't wake up every day feeling like, you know, a revolutionary gray-haired woman. You will not. There will be some days that you think you look like crap, or that you do look old, and you'll want to diet, so you'll need something to help you stay the course. So that's the next part of my tips for transitioning, is stay focused. Every time I start looking around at women who are probably my age, who are not, obviously they dye their hair, or they don't, but their hair is not gray. And I just think to myself, and then I look around at all the men my age who are gray, and very few men dye their hair. And I think to myself, if they don't have to dye their hair, why the hell should I? I'm not doing it. You know, if they don't have to do it, why should I have to do it? So it's that simple. Find things to help you stay focused. Also, being gray at a young age makes you stand out. It's not only is it like 100% authentic, it is so different. I think 10, 20 years down the track, it won't be a big deal anymore. But I think right now we're in this sort of place where we're breaking down this wall about this notion that only gray-haired people are old, and that if you have gray hair, you are old or look old. I think it's changing right now, and we're the ones changing it. So just remember that your gray could be your calling card. I will tell you, of all the gray-haired ladies I've read about in interviews, they all say they love their gray hair. They should have done it sooner. They don't regret growing it out ever. So I haven't actually read one single woman who's gray-haired and said, I wish I hadn't done it. I wish I hadn't gone gray early. So there's that. Also, we have to stay focused on the idea that aging is actually a gift, because the alternative is being 6 feet under. You know, it's just hair. And if you really hate it, you can dye it again and be a slave to the dye if you want. You know, I'm not doing that. I feel like I am ready to embrace myself at this stage of my life with this color hair, and I'm cool with it. And I see how many people, and I know people who didn't make it to my age, didn't make it to my age. They became victims of cancer or whatever. So to have gray hair, to have hair at all, to be able to go out in the world and feel the sun on your skin and have a healthy body is absolutely a blessing, and your gray hair right along with it. So keep your perspective and remember that aging is actually a gift. So it doesn't mean you let yourself go and just go to hell. Take care of yourself. But it's a gift. Every year is a blessing, and it's not a guarantee. So yeah, that's my perspective. This is where we are 7 months in. I feel like I'm starting to get there. I'm happy with my decision. I have gotten compliments from people. Some people think I actually dyed my roots white. I'm like, no, I would have done the whole skein. But anyway, yeah. So I'm happy with where I am. These are my thoughts on it. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you're considering doing it, go for it. You've got nothing to lose. There is absolutely nothing to lose, and probably a lot more to gain. So you never know unless you try. Thank you guys so much for your support and for your kind words and for always coming back here, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.